Welcome to /Whois. I am absolutely thrilled to have our next guest here. David Bergantino has worked as a writer, producer, programmer, designer, consultant with almost every major game publisher and family entertainment media company. Thank you so much for being here, David.
Thanks for having me.
I would love to start talking with how you started in the industry.
I got a job with Disney Interactive early on. They hired me because I was writing Freddy Krueger novels and didn't want a Disney-phile in the job. They wanted somebody who understood story, character, and core game audiences.
Wow. And so what did you do after Disney?
Disney, I ran the website for the WB network. I worked at Jim Henson Company, worked at THQ, and then was at Nickelodeon for 4 years, heading up creative and production for games there.
So what did you do at all those different places? Were you designing, producing, programming, all of the above?
It was mostly producing, designing, and writing. The whole my thing is that I sort of integrate a bunch of different aspects of game production all in one place. I was already writing and published author, so I would approach game design at least from a high level, in an integrated fashion. And not just, mechanics were important, but then so was how that pushed the experience forward.
I feel like it's really rare in the game industry to have someone who does jump between multiple professions like that. Normally someone will do a designer job or a programmer job. Like, what about it made you want to do all those different things?
Because I'm greedy. I like to do a lot of things all at once. I can do a lot of things all at once. I've always been a generalist. I've very rarely been a specialist.
What is your favorite position to do in the game industry?
The kind of, sort of like basically the game version of a director. Somebody who holds the vision for a project and can direct all the people who are much better than him at the specialties to actually get something done.
It's the secrets of producing, actually. Yeah. Find a really talented team and help them do their thing.
Go do this.
Exactly. Go be magical.
Right.
I'm going to write some emails.
Right. Yeah.
Thanks.
Well, yes.
What are some of the bigger games that you've worked on?
I've worked on Spy Hunter 2. This is where I've met you.
Yeah, many years ago when we met and worked together. That was great.
Yeah.
For Midway.
I was the biggest games that I've worked on were actually pretty much any SpongeBob game in the last 8 years up till about 2 years ago.
Wow.
Worked with THQ on those. I was one of the first execs that they actually let into the process of making the game.
Wow, that's rare. A suit that could be in the mix.
Yeah. I mean, I formed some great relationships and was any story for any game that wasn't based on an episode, I wrote.
Wow.
I got creators of shows working on our games, and it was a tough time in the business, but we were doing the last big stuff for kids on console.
Wow. So was this all taking place when you were VP of production at Nickelodeon?
That's correct.
Wow. What was it like being in a very executive role, but still wanting to be involved on the creative side of games?
I got lucky. In theory, people who have hired me, and this includes Disney and Warner Brothers and Henson, have always wanted me for those reasons. But then, there are limits once you get there. Nickelodeon was the first company that I ever worked with that let me kind of run amok with the different sections of the company, with the network, with celebrities, with all of these people, and let me put it together. And so it was a great place, especially with the way kids entertainment moves, that basically my ADHD was served quite well in that position.
So why kids entertainment, right? I think, my background, I've done a lot more like action games, traditional type things. What about kids games sparked your gaming fires?
I like kids games. I think they're the right amount of challenge and fun without getting too serious, overly serious. And I play core games. Believe me, I do. I play core games, but I've got 99% on Lego City Undercover because I just love that game. And also, I believed, particularly when I entered Nickelodeon, I really believed that the kids' audiences were being pandered to. And as a horror novelist for teens and above, and I'm all about killing and knifing and all this other stuff. I was raised on that stuff, and I turned out okay. And no, I think you're right. Okay, you're right. But the point being is that I treated kids the way I wanted to be treated and the way I was treated, which was as a as a human being who thought. And so I take kids' entertainment from here versus from down here. Oh, you kid, you want to push a button. No, I don't do that.
That's really smart.
So that's my approach, and that's why I actually like kids' games, and I'm not treading water until I get my next core game.
What do you feel out in the market today is a great representation of a really solid kids game?
I would say the most solid thing for me is the Lego series. It's fun. Frankly, it's got the deep design that you would get in any good game because it's designed to be a good game, not to be a kid's game.
Totally. And I have so many friends who are in their 20s and 30s and 40s who are like, oh my gosh, that Lego game is amazing. It's so addictive. They're posting on Facebook. They're all about it.
No, absolutely. And if you look at it, it's a layered approach to the game where you can play the game at the level of your proficiency. It's not, don't even talk to me unless you're 15. Like, it's not a game like that. And also, if you're above this age, you don't want to play this game. It doesn't exclude any audience whatsoever. And if you look back to my Henson days, Traveler's Tales did Muppet Race Mania for us way back when, because I've known those guys for a million years.
That's cool.
And if you look, the seeds of what Lego became in terms of this layered gameplay of all these secrets, those all appear in that game.
That's awesome.
So, little secret there.
Tell me, what was it like working with Kathleen Kennedy, who, by the way, produces a lot of Spielberg's movies?
Yeah. So in my estimation, Kathleen Kennedy is one of the biggest names, people, personalities, producers in Hollywood. She's not just Spielberg, but she's George Lucas. She's Star Wars. She's Howard the Duck too. But she's all of these things. And she is a person, and we've all dealt with a lot of personalities. She has no reason to be nice to me because I'm just this guy, this producer for this game for a little license over on the side. And she is one of the most engaging, personable, effective, and just normal people, especially at her level, that I've ever dealt with.
That's awesome to hear. I feel like that's really rare because typically in the industry you hear about, oh my God, like I will never work with that person again.
Why, yes. It's true, and that was probably one of the most. And I've worked with some of these people, early on in the career, as you do when you get here. Yeah. You subject yourself to this because you think that's the way the world works.
Yeah.
And the thing about Kathleen Kennedy is that she is proof that the world can work by being just good at what you do and also being a decent human being.
That's awesome. So what was it like working with M. Night Shyamalan on a big licensed game?
It was an interesting experience and challenging. I got to work directly with Night. I got to work directly with Kathleen Kennedy. That's the circumstance under I worked with her. We faced the usual challenges of trying to marry the vision of a director, especially a director like him, who totally owns his ideas, for his film, with an experienced game development group who knows how to make games, and that's one of the times where my my generalist nature kind of helps in terms of bridging the gap between the two. It was still a challenge, particularly for not, the notion of not wanting to reveal information too early, even to the team who needed to make the game on that. But
it's tough.
But at the end of the day, we agreed upon an approach that was complementary to what the movie was, and I think that was our biggest thing that we had to gap we had to bridge, because nobody really wanted a game that was just simply the movie. We wanted a different type of experience, but we also had to deliver what the audience had expected, both from the movie itself and from the previous Avatar: Last Airbender games that had come out.
That's tough, especially doing the production cycle like that.
Right, and but we still had a lot of access, and ultimately we agreed on a story that went along with the movie. So the movie is Aang's story. And behind the scenes, everybody's favorite character was actually Zuko. So we made the same story of the movie, but
Yeah.
we made the game from Zuko's perspective.
Oh, that's cool.
So you play Zuko, a couple occasions Aang, but you play Zuko and you get what's going on in his head, which then presages what goes on in the third season of the series.
Oh, that's so cool. What a cool way to do it.
Yeah, and what was great is we could do that. We could tease what happened later because people had already seen the TV series. So we weren't giving anything away, but we were giving this great new way of experiencing the story.
That's so cool. Did you refer to him as M. Night Shyamalan Ding Dong, or?
No, I would have lost all of the support of my
Totally would have.
Nickelodeon execs had I done that. No, I was David, he was Knight. There you go.
Okay, Knight, got it. So a little birdie told me that you actually spent a day in jail with George Jung, who Johnny Depp's character in Blow was based off of.
Did a jailbird tell you that?
It actually was.
Okay. Yes, this is true. Not long after the movie came out, I was approached by New Line because somebody who was associated with the movie, turns out Ted Demme's brother-in-law, wanted to make a game based on George's life.
Oh, wow.
And the concept was essentially a documentary as a first-person shooter. And so we went to New Jersey, where he's being held, and with his lawyer, who came under an assumed name, hot older woman, came under an assumed name, wearing black spaghetti strap sheer clothing, and she was his lawyer. And
This sounds like a movie in of itself,
It
like
was,
the making of the game.
it was an experience because she had to wear, because bare shoulders aren't allowed, and she was being ultra sexy. But then we ended up sitting there all day with George, who's charismatic as all get out. And you kind of understand when you're with him why he was able to accomplish all that he was accomplished, because he could sell you your own clothes that you are wearing at that time.
Wow.
And he was, by the end of it, he became this Indiana Jones of drug running in my head, and I had a 3-book series already sketched out in my head.
Wow.
We're hugging, I hugged George, it was great. We left, and then 10 minutes later, the glamour drained out, and I'm like, hey, there's a reason why that guy's in jail.
Wow.
But obviously I would not trade that experience for the world. It was just
Sounds
amazing,
surreal.
And
kind of cinematic.
unfortunately, the game never happened. And I'm a big proponent of using video game technology as a documentary tool.
Yeah.
It never happened because George, being George, he started to mess up the deal to the extent that loyalties to and friendships were being tested. And I'm like, well, no, you can't make me do this to my friend. And that never
Wow.
happened.
That's too bad. It sounds, just from the experience alone, sounds kind of amazing.
Yeah.
One other fact that I love about you is that you have been killed 3 different times in 2 Star Wars novels, which I think most geeks would like kill someone for to be able to say that.
Well, to clarify, twice in Star Wars novels, once in another. So 3
okay.
times in 2 different books.
Okay. So you just die in books a lot. Like that's
Yeah,
your
well,
thing.
I don't know whether it's a form of literary suicide. I die at the end of my own first novel, Wes Craven's New Nightmare, because I'm in the book as a character writing the book about the movie. And then,
Nice.
I have a tendency to put my friends' names or family names in my books, and a friend of mine put my name in his books, the Galaxy of Fear series, which was a YA series way back when. Everything is way back when to me these days. But he wrote me as 2 rebel soldiers, Bergen and Tino. They were mentioned. And then you heard shooting, and 3 pages later, Bergen and Tino have been killed. So yeah.
And you're immediately immortalized in Star Wars history.
This is official Lucas-approved canon.
Wow.
So I am 2 characters in the Star Wars universe.
So Lucas himself sat down, saw you being killed, and was like, yeah, that guy should die. Twice. Twice.
Yeah, well, twice is nice.
Nice.
It's these books, like everything that's out there, has to go through a rigorous process by which they're allowed or not allowed to be part of Star Wars canon. So,
That's
I
awesome.
don't think you'll be seeing me in any of the movies anytime soon.
I mean, you never know.
But yeah, I'm there.
Well, you've done a little bit of everything. What's up next for you?
The thing I've just started that I'm really, really excited about is I just became representative of the Colombian government and their games industry.
Wow. Okay.
So yeah,
Awesome.
I'm part Colombian now.
Congratulations.
By employment. And
Following the steps of George.
yeah, so one of my big projects for the next year is to promote and help develop the games industry of Colombia. That includes introducing them to a lot of my old cohorts at the entertainment studios so that they get some visibility. And the other is going down there and giving seminars and teaching them and best practices, the way we've been experiencing it up here for years. Well, they're just getting started, and there's a lot of raw talent down there, great people to hang out with and just speak to, and a lot of energy and enthusiasm and desire to do good.
That's awesome.
And so that's the thing I'm most excited about right now.
Very cool. Well, I might have to join you on a trip. That sounds kind of amazing.
I know some people.
Well, David, thank you so much for being a part of this today.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe to us, or lots of kittens will die.